Hey fourth graders, today we're going to do an experiment. Today we've been talking about how things become weathered and erosion, and we are going to talk a little bit about how water can weather or erode rocks. So for our experiment today, we're discussing, because it's cold outside, how water can freeze and destroy rocks. So in this experiment, I have a glass that I got, a cheap little glass that I got from the dollar store for $1, and it came with a lid. And this is going to be our rock. So for this experiment, we're pretending that this is a rock, and every rock has little pores in it that water can get into, which is the inside of this. So we're going to put water in this. Now, water in a rock is fine. It might erode it slowly, but we're going to see what happens when the water freezes inside the rock. What happens to the rock? So that's what we are going to hypothesize right now. What do you think is going to happen when water is put in this cup and it freezes? All right, so I got enough water to fill the cup up. I'm going to fill it all the way to the top. You can tell it's very close to the top. And I'm going to put my lid on it and screw the lid down really tight. I'm also going to put tape on the top so that this is closed. You don't want any kind of way for the water to get out, because we're going to be putting it in the freezer. You don't want it to tip over, and if the water expands when it freezes, it will just push that out and expand out that way. So we want to make sure that has nowhere to go. It's just like in a rock, it would have nowhere to go once it starts to freeze. We're going to take our glass jar. I'm going to put it and wrap it in some paper towel, and I'm going to put a rubber band around that. I'm going to put it try to do this one hand. Now I'm going to put a bag over it. That way if anything breaks, it's inside the bag. And I have it in a cup. That way if it breaks and the water gets out, it's in the cup. Now I'm just going to put it in my freezer. Find a good spot in my freezer, which is up here by the ice. Mr. Baines' dirty freezer. We're going to wait 24 hours and see what it looks like. So after my experiment, I'm going to come in after 24 hours of my water being in my glass jar, which is our rock. I'm going to come and take it out of the freezer. Throw my bag on there. I'm going to take my bag off. I'm going to take my rubber band and my towel off and see what we got. Ooh. We're going to be careful, but you can tell it is cracked. Pretty good. It broke the jar actually in half, all the way down. So if the glass was actually a rock, what would this mean? So now that we kind of figured out that when the water gets into the rocks, it expands and breaks the rocks, just like it broke this glass jar in half, because water expands when it freezes, and the rock can't flex, it's gonna break. So just like my glass jar, rocks break. That's how potholes are formed. So if your car ever rides over something that goes thump thump, and there's a big hole in the ground, it's because during the winter time, water got into the ground and the rocks froze when it got really cold like today, and then it expanded and actually broke up the rock. So I have a really bad driveway, and you can tell there's been a lot of water erosion in this driveway, but also over the past couple winters, water's been getting into these small grooves and freezing and then expanding and breaking up the rock. So I got a bunch of loose pebbles. My road's got some cracks in it that is having the same kind of problem, and it'll keep happening until we either resurface it or just dig it up and put a new driveway in. So that is erosion around my house.